The second game, yet again between TheMista and Magic, is going to be played on Tundra, and they are having a bit different gods. TheMista is playing Loki, whereas Magic is playing Oranos. And if I remember correctly, this is from some kind of show match hosted back then about, yet again, all these games are about half a year ago played, about summer 2016 on 105 patch. And let's see how the players are gonna do with different gods. Zeus definitely doesn't seem like a god for Magic. Let's see how he'll do with Oranos against another Nos from TheMista, and I'm kind of favoring right now Loki. I would be thinking Loki should be better than Oranos because of the amount of mythical units. And that's usually a problem for Atlanteans. But let's see. If you play it correctly, especially in the early game, the free Valors, the free heroes can definitely help. And looking at the map, so far it seems to be kinda okay-ish for TheMista. This gold is quite close by to his base, and even though it's behind the tree line, I don't really think it's gonna might all that much, especially considering the TC being close by. Yet again, behind the tree line, but still, sorry, should be reasonably okay. Whereas the front TC, does it cover anything? Let's cheat. Well, there's probably going to be a lot of fighting for this gold. This relic is for better ram, Helepoli, and whatever. Crush attack. Yeah, that's gonna suck. This game, not going to be useful at all. But with the Caribous in the middle, I don't expect that Magic is gonna go for it because he's Atlantean. He's most probably going to be ending up with the Aurochs before he needs to fall back into the Elks at the back. Or even the extra Caribous behind his base. Because of course it would be quite risky to send Atlantean villages into the middle of the map unprotected. And well, so far we don't see anything all that bad. Pretty much standard game. Elks, Caribous for both teams, and already working on the wall in for TheMista. Even though not finished, he at least wants to see if his opponent is going to be attempting to somehow sneak into his base from the back so that he isn't surprised at all. In the meantime, Magic is scouting a bit goats behind his base. Already discovered the back TC and some extra relic. More better towers. That's one much better than the one in the middle. And he's also using the next goat in the middle, and then with the oracles, he's even stealing goats from his opponent. Oh well. It's quite gutsy for him and definitely going for it quite offensively. You can see having the oracles basically camped inside, almost inside the Mista's base, so we should be expecting a lot of raiding from him. And probably, right now it's going to be up to Magic to be the aggressive one in this matchup. Well, of course, he's an Atlantean, but that's usually what happens. But Lokis are also quite often aggressive, especially since he right now has cast Spy on the Furies, so that will allow him to raid his opponent very easily. Let's turn off the Fog of War and have a whole view of the map. Looking at the gold mines, nothing behind the base for either of the players. Definitely nice to see, as they will be forced to fight for the or rather for the gold in the middle and for the map control. And looking at the positions of the TCs, it's really looking like that this gold might be kind of important because the golds on the right side and on the left are definitely unsafe and probably going to be unsafe for the whole game, which is nice to see, of course, as it will mean a lot of raiding. And we are basically looking at two belts of golds because the map is probably going to be better seen on the minimap or the maxi map. 1, 2, 4, and 5 in here for TheMista. And really, absolutely nothing is covered by town centers, which is going to be making for interesting aggressive game for both teams, or rather for both players. TheMista going for template 4 minutes. Just now clicking into for city. Going to be a bit later, so like 440 advance, that's pretty much fine. With TheMista, or rather Magic already coming in to the next age, and well, he is right now going to be scouting a bit more into the right. Hoping to find something interesting that would be worthwhile for Raiden. So it's almost looking like that he's not going to be wasting, or rather wasting using his Valor on the Oracles. They are just going to be used for scouting. As TheMista is going into the right. And does he have some extra hunt? He doesn't know about it at all. But he could be potentially moving into the Elks. Right next to the gold mine, which might be some kind of thought for him. But he's probably gonna fall back behind his base into the Caribous. ×2. It's almost looking like it, and he seems to be basically preparing for exactly like something like that, because he's expecting that the Atlantean will be raiding quite a lot, and he might not be having all that many chances how to raid his opponent. Rather, he's going to be forced into a full-on defensive. So it's really looking like that, and let's see if it's going to be true or not. So far going for Ice in the Forest for better infantry and North Zero line of sight. Exactly as Magic is right now advancing to the next age. And so far we are just looking at the one temple, so it's probably going to be one temple and one longhouse from TheMista. And he's definitely going for full-on defense and for a bit of scouting in the front, where he sees where his opponent potentially is. Quite unluckily, quite unluckily for TheMista actually, this villager that has been cast spy upon was moved from his food duty into wood duty, and that's not really great because right now, of course, TheMista doesn't know where the foodies are. They are behind the base, and he does need to scout just by himself. At least he is trying to kill all the hunt that he can and basically make it decay before Magic could be gathering from it. Okay, so Magic seeing that he's actually going to be doing exactly the same, or I'm not exactly sure if it wasn't caused by Magic. I've seen much more often Magic do it than TheMista, to be honest. So it might be just a response from TheMista at the top, rather than response by Magic. But who knows? And it doesn't really matter all that much, because yet again, I'm fully expecting that TheMista should be moving there reasonably soon, especially since he's finishing with the last caribou on the right, and he definitely does have all of them here available to him. And of course, he's not going to be forced to move anywhere, and if he walls himself properly, which he already is working on right now. Kinda curious why he didn't wall right next to the house, but not like it matters. He's probably going to be finishing with the wall and using the tower as well, or maybe he could just use the 3 lines in here, which might be slightly more useful for him, but he probably will want to use the tower and somehow funnel the units right next to it once he actually goes for the upgrade. Well, Magic having a first fight against the villagers, as of course TheMista is still basically just guarding, and all the units basically trickling all across the map into the hunt on the right. And I'm really kind of curious how Magic is going to be right now reacting, because the hunt at the back is virtually unreachable. It's not going to be safe to raid at all, because of course the army is going to be still present from TheMista, and I'm kind of expecting that he might be wanting to actually wall right about here and move these wood villages to somewhere to the safety to the back. And even though Oracle Scout is still present, it's not going to be mattering all that much, with the army being in pretty decent numbers and Magic not having enough to somehow push forward in kind of successful manner. Attempted walling on the left, but first yes, noticed the Oracle. So getting pummeled into the head with the hammer, of course, and well, another Ulfsark found another Skraeling, has found another Oracle. So no scouting free for a Magic, and just the one at the back, which doesn't really matter at all, because of course this dude is not going to be giving up anything that Magic wouldn't already know. Well, let's check, for example, some economy upgrades and Dax Pickaxe. Whereas for blue, we are seeing none of that, as he's basically spamming army as much as he can. And is he going for the towers? Because I'm thinking that he really should, especially with the positions that he's having them in. This tower is really nice for defense, especially the one on the right. And he seems to be that he's going to be a bit late. He doesn't have the resources yet, and he doesn't have really woodies all that much overall. Just 4, really? Yeah, he's having just 4 of them. Which I find slightly curious, because I'm thinking he could definitely use at least a few throwing axemen against the Murmills, but he's probably hoping that the Heresiers are going to be enough, and especially the mythical units that he's gonna get from the spawn. And finally he's getting himself into a bit of action into the front. So this guy has been yet again switched, right now from wood duty into food duty. So that's exactly where TheMista wanted him, and he's going to be giving up where the food is being gathered for Magic and where the raiding should be taking place. Magic having basically the same economy right now as TheMista. Even though he's having like 10 more population limit in the army, as he's trying to engage his opponent in very interesting fight. And it's kind of bad fight right now for TheMista, because apparently he isn't getting any kind of mythical units. Is he housed? No, he isn't. But it's kind of curious. They isn't getting like anything at all. He got basically just one troll, it seems like. And there's one dead, so he basically just got one spawn, which is slightly unfortunate for him. Because if he got something more, it could have been a bit easier fight for him. And with the reinforcements coming in, because they have already dealt with the raiders on the food line, this might be even a bit more of a problem, because TheMista, as we have seen a bit earlier, doesn't really have the population limit the same as Magic. And with Magic having some kind of upgrades or not, now he's having normal Murmilos, raiding cavalry and nothing else. Tower still standing, curiously enough. But not being researched. But he doesn't have the resources, probably. It's almost looking like that he wants to go for it, as he's keeping the wood in there. But he cannot really afford it, because of course he's under pretty heavy pressure from Magic. And Magic is right now going in for the kill for all the hunters. And yep, TheMista needs to retreat, because he is in a terrible situation. And the Oracle is going to be paying off. Yeah, quite nice line of sight. Exactly. Seeing those poor souls in there. And at the same time, though, right now, Magic is in a trap. He doesn't have anywhere to run, so it's going to be up to TheMista to actually rectify this. And I think this is slightly unexpected ending to Magic's efforts. As it looked quite well for him, and the Valkyrie spawn is definitely helping. This is going to be absolutely horrible slaughter, especially with the extra reinforcements from TheMista coming very close by, from very close quarters. And yeah, this is going to be costing the whole army of Magic, and this might be pretty big. Pretty big, as even though TheMista is losing units as well, and half of them are going to be half dead of the remainder. This is very important, because it will be stopping Magic from raiding. And this might allow TheMista to go for raiding himself, and maybe even go for town center if he opts to go for it. Yeah, right now he needs to be careful though, because Magic is sending absolutely everything in there, and it's going to be about the fight for this gold, because that's basically the safest gold that TheMista is right now having. And it's not really all that safe, as you can see. He should definitely diversify. Send a bit to the left. I think that he actually sees it. Yeah, he has scouted the map very nicely. So he knows about the gold on the left, and even though it is unsafe, exactly as this gold mine, it's usually a good idea to be at two places at once, because once you have some big army on one gold mine, and you are stopped from, of course, gathering, you are still going to be able to gather at least with a few villages on the other gold mine, and even though your opponent might be attempting to raid with some small army, it's already going to help you, because he's going to be dividing the numbers and making it easier to fight on either of the gold mines, if you choose to go with full-on fighting in there. So yeah, it's just a good idea for overall not making it all that easy for your opponent where to go. Well, TC right now is going to be the first one for Magic, which is kind of understandable, because he's Atlantean and he's not really... Well, I was going to say he's not losing all that many units, he just lost all the army at the bottom. So it's going to be just accounted to extra economy from Matisse. TheMista not really ready for anything at all with the economy. Magic, absolutely another universe. He can just go for the 30C if he wants to, which I'm not all that sure that he will want to. At this point, I'm kind of thinking that it might be a better idea for him to go into Heroic, because he needs to get something that will allow him to get rid of the Mythic units, because they are, after the pretty big fights, growing in numbers. You can see already 5 trolls, and that's something that might actually be costing him a lot of units, and he might need the Archive to get rid of them. So yeah, more than the 30C I would be liking the Heroic Age from Magic, and I'm thinking that he should be not having any kind of problems with reaching that. But this TC, he might be having problems with this, especially with Magic or other TheMista nicely switching the army, at least a few heresies on to the left. And that's a bit of an underestimation right now by Magic, who is caught yet again in a pretty bad moment. And with all the mythic units, this is going to be yet another slaughter, because of course, even though he does have medium or Milos, he's not having all that many heroes. Oh, come on, one hit into the hero Turma. But he's not microing at all, so it's not like it matters. Right now he was at least at the last moment microing into Valkyrie. But still, yeah, those dues are definitely paying off, and would be slightly better if TheMista didn't let this hero Murmilon just slaughter their trolls like that. Yeah, you can see this is better micro right now by Magic, basically making up for what I said a bit earlier, and this is exactly what's winning him the battle. because otherwise, if you correctly countered all those heroes, you'll be just fine with the trolls and the Valkyrie to get rid of the extra army. TC finished. Town center finished, but at least this fight is serving TheMista in one way, and that's he can basically develop his economy outside of his base. Going for the hunt, and of course for the gold, but he's still, curiously enough, not moving to the left, basically just now having the hammer trolls, but thinking that the right side is going to be much more important. And it might be, because he's already having this town center in mind, because he knows that Magic has already captured the front one, which means that he's going to be having easier time somehow getting to his front, as it's pretty close. And once we get Palace about here, right next to the gold and next to the TC, it's going to be very hard for TheMista to get rid of it, rather to get rid of his opponent and somehow capture it for himself, which means that, of course, his chances of having all the 3 TCs are going to be quite low, and that's something that he needs to be keeping in mind, and I'm thinking that he really is. Right now, of course, pretty brutal raiding on the foot. And those poor souls just waiting for a disaster. Let's switch into Magic if this guy actually knows. Oh, he sees them. He just sees them, but I'm fairly certain Magic hasn't noticed. He's moving somewhere to the safety, possibly for the Aurochs. So that was a pretty lucky break right now for TheMista. Pretty lucky break, because if at least one of the units saw a bit more of the blue guys, and Magic actually noticed the blue blob in there, well, that would be a pretty big disaster, because of course there were about 8 villagers for TheMista, and these were hunters. It's exactly the most dangerous part of the economy to lose. So this battle didn't in the end go all that well for Magic. Is he going to be advancing? Surprisingly, he isn't. Going for the TC. So he's opting for basically prolonged classical fight, which I really don't think is a clever idea. Usually, the Norse and especially Loki is going to be getting the upper hand the longer the classical fight goes, and it might actually allow TheMista to advance even faster, because of course he's not going to be losing all that many units. He's going to be the one controlling the battles and forcing the right battles for himself. If he plays it correctly. You can see the huge amount right now of trolls, 6 hammer trolls, without any kind of heroes from his opponent. That's not a battle that he can take at all. And well, yep, it is really why I think that the 30C is not such a great idea for Magic, and he should be really hurrying into the next age, because he really cannot fight. He cannot fight this army right now. So it's going to be just up to him to somehow run around the map and basically deny any kind of potential raiding for TheMista, but of course TheMista is already active with the raiding, as those dudes were gathering from the gold quite a lot already. 335 gathered from it. But well, TheMista is right now not even at 2 TCs, but he's definitely aiming for heroic, and that's exactly what Magic should be here going for as well, and he is already, because he's already having quite some economy. So that's Hendak's pickaxe, and no. For blue, just pickaxe. And he's still on the hunt, so that's slightly faster of course than the farming. Of course, he's going to be pretty much safe, and it seems like that he's going for the town center. And is it going to be at the same time as Bragi? Yes, it is. Town center and Bragi, and he's going for the back TC, for the safe one. I'll be thinking he's actually in a position to force himself into the front one. Because yet again, there's not much of a battle that he could be taken. Magic right now fighting the full villies on the left, but still, those gold villies on the right are pretty much safe, because Magic hasn't noticed those guys on the polar bear right next to the tree, and unfortunately it hasn't occurred to him that TheMista could be so cheeky that he would be basically gathering on his half of the map, so these guys could be probably safe in here for the rest of the game, or rather for the rest of the gold mine. And Magic not even notice him, because of course the attention is going to be concentrated right next to the TC, as this is going to be the next big fighting spot. And Magic really doesn't need to worry about anything else all that much. Let's see about this. I'm kind of thinking that we might be seeing flamey weapons even before Pickle Age. But of course he cannot go Balder as Loki, so it's not like it matters all that much. This guy got hammered by all the trolls. And he's right now moving forward into the TC. So he probably wanted to go for the back on first so that he has some better support. And then has a better position on the town center itself. But not exactly sure if he accounted for the heroic ages going to be coming up and making things a whole lot harder for TheMista to handle now. Yeah, getting into the supply line of the units. Gold already not being added at this point. Bit of a disappointment for Magic, apparently. As he has finally moved a bit more to the left, which is definitely gonna help. And these are actually foodies. And is there something hidden in the darkness? No, there isn't. So, yep, just gold. Just the gold. And this dude is going for a market, right? Yeah, he's going to be coming for the market. As Magic has lost the town center in the middle, which was lost, of course, to the pretty big army of TheMista in here. And where is actually some kind of army from Magic? At the bottom. Going from, oh well, for a pretty bad radiant right now on these guys, and they are running at exactly the right time. But is actually Magic going to pursue or not? Because this is kind of a weird decision by him. He's going with all the army, basically all the army. It's just those two dudes, those two poor guys, with a few of them in the base defending, and that's not really a good idea. Oh, come on, Lucky Magic, right? If this attack actually came like 20 seconds earlier, then this wasn't coming up, and the Mythic Rage would be still just a distant dream for you. And this is quite a lucky break, because that might help him quite a lot. This was kinda mismanaged by Magic, and well played by TheMista, it has to be said, because he basically used the opportunity. He has seen that the army of Magic is somewhere else, and of course that means that he has basically free reign of the opponent's base, and he's definitely making his opponent pay for it. Even though not all that much, he doesn't have all that many upgrades, copper shields just, not even medium infantry, as he's finally switching into throwing axeman. Whereas Magic is having heavy Murmillos, no upgrades in there, and Tartarian Gate, of course, right inside TheMista's base, without any kind of army. So yeah, basically, what is happening in here, in reverse? Magic is down to just one TC, as he has lost, of course, the stun center a bit earlier, and those dudes, they have probably seen that the blue blob is in there. They have seen it. You can see Magic is right now hurrying there with all the army, and this Nymphalia Ambret is going to be a bit more of a problem, as of course RTS cannot get rid of it at all, and this means that those gold gatherers are finally going to be dead. But of course this palace is not going to be coming up right next to the gold mine, as TheMista is in the correct placement and going to be killing a ton of citizens, even though it might finish. It might finish because he was actually fighting too many citizens at once. He was fighting like all of them with like 1 or 2 Hersiers, which definitely didn't work out for him. And this means that there's going to be a pretty big fight yet again. But this palace shouldn't be surviving at all, even with the fanatics coming up. Seems like that actually TheMista or other Magic doesn't have enough resources to even pick up the 10 senders. Yes, he just doesn't have the villages probably. Yes, a lot of them, so I'm not exactly sure what's the problem for him. TheMista have been also pretty decent upgrades, but he's housed. He's missing houses because of the spawns. The Tartarian Gate spawns. Yeah, there were a lot of houses about the former tower in there, and that's fairly certain something he doesn't know about at all. And the Nymphalia Ambret is a pretty big problem for him, of course. And he's not still rebuilding anything at all. That's really kinda weird. And a bit of a shame, of course, because not only is TheMista losing economy, he is, of course, going to be losing army, because he's severely overpopped. Even though he's having 2 town centers, he's at the 100 population. It's like, not even funny. Magic is with 150 with just 1 TC. Yeah, just a few more houses. You can see Magic's economy absolutely in tatters as far as food goes, which is of course the most crucial overall. You can see TheMista trying to kill even the farms. And TheMista right now dropped to just 75 because he has lost the town center to all the Tartarian spawns, and right now they are going for the TC, for the second TC as well. Even though he's have a pretty decent amount of resources and he could be just trading for it. He doesn't have market as far as I see. This is really kinda curious end to the game, to be honest, because this has to be an end pretty soon. With TheMista losing absolutely everything, even though he did have the advantage in the population and everything. Just somehow, didn't win? I can't help myself but think that TheMista actually threw this game. He caught Magic off guard absolutely brutally and killed his 2 town centers in like a matter of minute, whereas Magic wasn't doing anything at all. Then he had him at the ropes, but he let himself basically be housed and killed on the gold. It's unfortunate, granted, but still. He didn't get rid of the Tartarian Gate, and that also kinda half killed his economy on the food, especially right next to the town center. So I'm thinking he maybe didn't actually choose his priorities correctly, because Magic was yet again in pretty tough situation as far as economy goes, because of basically the whole raiding into his town centers and such. So there was opportunity for TheMista to somehow pick himself back up. He didn't. And really surprisingly, this game goes into Magic. So yep, interesting. Check the post game. It is similar score. And the economy is so much better for Magic, of course, as an Aten. He was having 15,000 resources more. That's such a ridiculous number. Such a ridiculous number. Good efficiency for TheMista. Basically the same advanced times in here. And yep, this mythical age for Magic, that was really lucky. Actually, that could be pretty much the game-winning moment in there, because if Magic didn't have the Tartarian Gate, it didn't basically stop TheMista's economy in its tracks, then TheMista would probably be able to somehow corral the game and win it for himself. Not many researches for 22-minute game, 9 and 10. And most of them are actually for military, for Magic. Pretty similar numbers all across the map. Well, GG.